WWE TLC had some really good wrestling, some really good action, but once again, much like WWE tends to do, in the end, it finds a way to embarrass itself. It finds a way to make you question as a longtime fan. Why am I watching this crap? What's up? Fred Ricciani, TSC. I almost didn't recap this show. Truth be told, I've barely watched the TV shows. I've mostly been watching the pay-per-views. I skipped Survivor Series, which as it turned out was kind of irrelevant anyway. But for a good stretch, I would say from like SummerSlam up until Survivor Series, WWE actually had some really good pay-per-views. TV shows were kind of throwaway for the most part. SmackDown was pretty good in certain respects, but for the most part, I just wasn't feeling it. And here am I, a fan of 22 years, that's just almost ready to throw in the towel. But, you know, I got my favorites. I got my Sasha Banks. I got Sami Zayn. Roman Reigns is doing great. Drew McIntyre is doing great. I love Asuka. You still got the occasional good NXT match, even though I feel like they're just flailing right now. And so I turn on TLC. I'm thinking to myself, all right, I probably won't come on here and talk about it, but let me just watch the show. I mean, whatever. Wrestling's been part of my life for over 20 years. And I watched a great Roman Reigns Kevin Owens match, maybe a little long, but a great TLC match where Kevin Owens had a hell of a babyface performance and a losing effort to Roman Reigns. Of course, Roman Reigns won with the help of his cousin Jey Uso. Great match. Great match. I don't like that they have to keep doing these ladder matches almost every month in WWE. But you know what? If you're going to do them, you might as well do them with two great workers. And they had a hell of a match. I really liked Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles' effort in the triple threat ladder match for the WWE Championship. And actually, it was originally just AJ versus Drew. Turned out to be The Miz because he cashed in and he failed. And Drew McIntyre retained the WWE Championship. So that was pretty cool. Miz, once again, epic fail. WWE Money in the Bank, once again, epic fail. I really feel like they should retweak the concept. Maybe stop making it a pay-per-view, make it a match at WrestleMania, and actually give it to somebody they plan on having win, or at least be protected. I don't know. Sasha Banks got a decent match out of Carmella to retain her title. The Hurt Business beat the New Day in a pretty good match for the Raw Tag Team titles. I'm really happy for Cedric Alexander and especially Shelton Benjamin. Asuka with a returning Charlotte Flair beat Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to win the women's tag team titles. I like this. It's been a while since we've seen Charlotte. I know a lot of people got sick of her and sick of her character and her winning all the time, myself included. But, you know, I've always felt like she's a very talented performer, just shoved down people's throats. And, you know, it's really kind of like the Roman Reigns thing before Roman Reigns had this heel turn, right? Just forcing them down people's throats. Only in the last couple of years do I really feel like he finally kind of, I don't want to say clicked, but you know, people finally started saying, okay, Roman Reigns is awesome. Like, we're not worried about him being shoved down people's throats. Only recently, and, you know, Charlotte's always been talented, and she's been a great worker for a while. So it's nice for her to get some time off, to heal up. She's looking great. Was awesome in the ring tonight. And I'm happy for her, and I'm looking forward to her versus Asuka down the road. But from that point, right, we had a really, really good pay-per-view. You know, you can make the argument that McIntyre Styles was a great match. You can make the argument that Reigns versus Owens was a great match. I mean, two great matches for the world titles. I mean, that seems like a great pay-per-view to me. Ends like around 10 o'clock, right before 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not bad at all, right? I should note, by the way, that Big E, Daniel Bryan, Chad Gable, and Otis beat Corbin, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. But then, we had the main event, which turned out to be the lame event, which was Randy Orton versus The Fiend, in a match that almost got me to not watch the show at all. Firefly Inferno Match. It wasn't a traditional Inferno match. It was more of a match where they wrestled, and then all of a sudden the fire came on, and they tried to set themselves on fire, and Bray Wyatt got caught on fire from the back, and I'm assuming he was wearing flame-retardant equipment, you know, that kept the flames all, I don't know, some stuntmen crap, you know, whatever they wear, and then those stunts. I'm not a movie guy. And so, finally, Randy Orton takes out Bray Wyatt, He was burnt before on the outside. He's in the middle of the ring. And then Randy Orton takes gasoline and pours it on Bray Wyatt, who is flat on his back. And from there, I'm thinking, oh no. We had the stupid eye for an eye match between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, which was a disgrace to professional wrestling, which was a disgrace to WWE. And I know WWE's had some low bars they've set over the years, but that was pretty pathetic. The fact that both men participated in this, when they have the clout to say, nah, man, this ain't a good idea. But, you know, it's a giant cult. And Randy Orton, who's done some of his best work of his career in 2020 of all years, decides to participate in this. And just goes along with the fact that, hey, we're going to do a spot where Bray Wyatt gets set on fire in the middle of the damn ring. And that's what happened. Now, I'm sure they did some weird editing effects to have like a stunt double, or, I mean, not a stunt double, like a dummy in there, like a life-size Fiend dummy. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But he pours his gasoline on the lifeless Wyatt. He sets Bray Wyatt on fire. Bray Wyatt up in flames. Up in flames. And the show ends that way. Ridiculous. Absolutely, positively, utterly ridiculous. And once again, I ask myself, why the hell am I watching? NXT's become boring. They got so obsessed with beating AEW that's kicking their ass, rather than moving to a Tuesday or going back on the network, that they've just gotten boring and hotshot everything. They've booked Rhea Ripley into oblivion. There's nothing to look forward to anymore because what I'm going to look forward to Rhea Ripley or Tony Storm being called up on the main roster only to get booked into hell? Hell no. I don't want to see that. Which makes me not really want to see NXT. AEW, I'm interested in what Kenny Omega's doing. But, you know, more often than not, and I'm very happy for AEW's success, by the way. I'm not hating, I'm just stating my personal opinion. You know, more often than not, it's just, I don't know, I feel like they're catering to the audience they already got rather than trying to expand. And even for me, who's a hardcore fan, like, I'm not watching AEW Dark all the time. I'm not watching Being the Elite all the time. So when you throw, like, say, Joey Janela in the main event randomly, it's like what the hell. Now it's clearly the more interesting show because you never know what's going to happen, for better or worse. But still, it's kind of like, okay. But as far as, like, North American wrestling, man, this is probably the least interested I've ever been. And I've been through some tough periods, some rough periods. I mean, there's been some agonizing, hair-pulling periods. But, you know, I feel like, and I've always felt this way, if anybody has followed me, the industry goes where the standard bearer goes, right? If the NFL wasn't hot, there wouldn't be a market for an XFL. And granted, there may not be a market for an XFL, but The Rock bought it for a reason, right? You know, if the NBA's not hot, chances are EuroLeague wouldn't be hot. Chances are all the FIBA tournaments, all the stuff going on around the world wouldn't be hot, right? Would MLS be viable in the US if soccer wasn't just worldwide popularity skyrocketing every single year? So WWE, yeah, in some ways, people can look at the record low rating that Raw did, which was like a 1.5, which is 1.5 million, which was unfathomable just a few years ago. And they could look at that and be like, hey, that's good for AEW. Because AEW could close the gap, and AEW's doing similar and possibly better numbers in 18 to 49 and could be on a consistent basis. And that's great, and creates more options. That's great. I don't think it's really great. It's great that AEW's proven itself, but I don't think it's really that great that the standard bearer of the industry, whether you like him or not, and I'm not a big Vince McMahon fan at all, is not doing well. It's not good. Because while the competition's doing all right, it's not like they're exploding. Less people than ever are watching professional wrestling. And I'm on the verge of being one of those people, despite the fact I have a site that historically has covered wrestling. Because of crap like this. This is very reminiscent of an old WCW pay-per-view. You have some great matches. Guys like Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, Ultimo Dragon, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, all these guys. Occasionally Bret Hart, when he wasn't getting booked into oblivion. And then you have a lame event where it was like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, something stupid. Bruised beefcake, monster trucks on a roof, whatever the case may be. But this is another level. If 1995 WWF was a person, it'd be Bray Wyatt. If WCW 2000 was a person, it'd be Bray Wyatt. If an incel subreddit was a person, it'd be Bray Wyatt. I'm happy that Wyndham Rotunda is making money and secured the bag, and that's great, and he's providing for his family, and he's healthy. God bless him. That's awesome. But the reality is, for all these dorks that say he's a creative genius, he's not. He's not. He's a pudgy white guy in dreads who wears a mask, who watched too many episodes of Gotham, and I love Gotham, but, come on, man, this dude ain't Jerome. He ain't the Joker. And I don't know, I feel like they just took a jar of all the bad ideas that they had for Kane, not even The Undertaker, for Kane, and gave him to Bray Wyatt. So now people aren't talking about the great match that Roman Reigns had with Kevin Owens and the phenomenal babyface performance by KO. Now they're not talking about how Sasha Banks might be the wrestler of the year. No. What we're talking about is this dumbass clown getting set on fire and us having to believe it in 2020. And for those that say, well, what about The Undertaker? Well, what about Kane? Kane's storylines were freaking tasteless at times and pretty terrible. But Kane, at his peak in 98, 99, had that believability. Okay? He was also 7 feet tall and absolutely jacked. Undertaker. Don't bring him up because he was one of the greatest gimmicks, most protected gimmicks of all time. Also, 7 feet tall, badass dude. And yes, some of his stuff got really wacky too. Nobody's saying it wasn't. But you can't compare Undertaker to freaking Bray Wyatt. You just can't. That's like comparing like Andy Dalton to Troy Aikman. It's just, no. Don't do that. Just don't. Just don't. That's like comparing I don't know, some dude that maybe had one All-Star season to LeBron James. You just can't. So I watched TLC with surprising joy, and I ended it with disdain and violently shaking my head. So there you go, WWE. Thank you for further making me not watch. I'll probably catch Royal Rumble. It's my favorite pay-per-view. Rest in peace, Pat Patterson. I'll probably still catch the pay-per-views here and there, but yeah, I think I'm just going to keep doing what I like to do, which is interviews and occasional vlogs, and that's that, because I don't know. I'm not feeling this, man. I would say I'm disappointed in the state of wrestling, particularly WWE wrestling, but it's really not even wrestling. It's just, I don't know what this is, but it's hot garbage, and unless this is permanently writing off the Fiend character, and I don't have a reason to believe that's the case. And even then, what an embarrassment. What an embarrassment to WWE. What an embarrassment to wrestling. Vince McMahon has lost it. And now the ratings show it. I know they secured the TV deals. That's great. Kudos to Nick Khan. Kudos to their representation. Kudos to them fooling people that they could stay stable in the ratings. And look, there is still a loyal audience, but that loyal audience has shrunk. It's dwindling, and it's going to keep dwindling if they do crap like this. So I don't want them to fail. I don't like Vince McMahon, but I don't want them to fail. I think, again, I think when the standard bearer of WWE, or standard bearer of wrestling, which is WWE, rises up, it lifts everyone else up. Unless, of course, they try to gobble up everything and buy out everybody. But even then, more will rise. But right now, I don't see anything rising other than this headache. But I want to hear from you. What did you think about WWE TLC? Did you think that Randy Orton should have beaten Bray Wyatt? What do you think about him getting set on fire? What do you think about the great matches that are now going to be forgotten about because they had to set fire a clown? Let me know. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this update. Like, share. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications for more updates like this. And until next time, as always, enjoy the matches if you can.